So yeah, my name is Phani Tetali, and I graduated in engineering from IIT BHU in 1988, and then I worked in the mining industry for a year, and then after that I came to IDC School of Design. At that time it was IDC in IIT Bombay, and I did my masters in visual communication between 1989 and 1991. So after that, for around close to 20 years, I worked in the animation and gaming industries. And then I decided to come back here to teach in 2009. So ever since 2009, I've been associated with IDC as a faculty member. And I teach animation, character design, comic books, sequential storytelling, and game design. So I've been enjoying the past 10 years out here in IDC. I have been trying to see if I can express through my illustrations, my cartoons, my work, and through that, if it's able to communicate and if it's able to probably solve someone's questions on something, or just able to communicate, that itself is design achieved for me. So essentially I try to tell stories through my work, or probably even try to comment on existing things that are happening around us in the society, because I'm a cartoonist, and I like to look at things that are not going right in the society, because if everything's going right, there's no place for a cartoonist, right? So a cartoonist cannot survive in utopia. So I kind of look for something that's going wrong, and I'm happy that India is the best place for that. And so for cartoonists to survive, I think there's a wonderful opportunity in India. See, in IDC, we have people coming from, in the master's level, we have students joining us from varied backgrounds. You know, some of them have done their engineering, and some come from the architecture background, some come from fine arts, and recently we've had students coming from BDES background, design. And so what we try and do here is, for the first year that they're here, it's a 2-year program, and for the first 1 year, we try to talk to them about basic traditional skills in animation, which is like we don't really teach them anything to do with computers or software or any of these things. We don't want to base our academic programs on software and technology. That's something the students can pick up anyway, and they pick it up very fast. You know, so we would like them to get the rigor of say for example drawing 300 frames of a character, or being able to tell a story or an action by just sitting down with a pencil and paper and just flipping through the paper and seeing that they get the action right. So we try to take them through the fundamentals, the principles of animation. And most of our exercises in the first year are with pencil on paper, right? So they do that, and by the end of the first year we expect that they are at a stage where technically or probably skills wise they can tell their own stories. And the whole of the second year they spend making 2 films, one in each semester. In the second year they make 2 films, and that's an opportunity for them to tell their stories. So that's how we planned our postgraduate program. One challenge we have is we have students coming in with varied skill levels because the backgrounds are varied. So the initial exercises are typically trying to get them all onto, say, a common platform. Some of them come with very high skills and some with absolutely no skills. And I feel that, it takes us a little while, it takes them also a little while to get used to the whole. I have to go back to 2 people. My uncle, his name is Bapu, he's no more. He was a very famous cartoonist and feature film director in Andhra Pradesh. So, people swear by his name in Andhra. Fortunately he was my uncle, and each time that my mom used to get to know that he was coming home, she used to get some sheets of paper and ask me to draw and get it ready to show it to him. And he used to take a look at it, draw over it, and he was my inspiration, honestly, and I was really fortunate that somebody like him was an inspiration. There are people who swear by his name and things. They try to draw like him, and so I was really lucky that way. He used to bring books, and I still have those books with me, right? Yeah. Well, it was my art teacher in school, Mr. Parameshwaran. So I used to sit by his side, and I never used to draw, but I used to see what he was doing. So he used to paint these huge canvases, and so I just used to go and sit next to him for hours together. So I think he was one of my inspirations, yeah. Not an incident actually, but something that was told in class that I remember. It was our professor Kirti Trivedi. He's a very well-known professor, he's a very well-known designer. But what he said in class was, it just stuck to me. So apparently there was this photographer who had an exhibition, right? So, and beautiful photographs all displayed. And there was this writer who came, one author. So she came and she saw the photographs and she asked him, very beautiful photographs, which camera do you use, right? So he said, I read your stories, very beautiful stories, which typewriter do you use, right? So this stuck to me. I think a lot of meaning in what he used to say, right? Another thing that he said that, of course it was for that particular assignment or something, but what he said really stuck. He said, if you want to shoot children, sit down on your knees, right? So that's what he said. Nothing much has changed really from the time that we were studying till now. At that time, these are my opinions. At that time, I bought a computer which was the top-end computer available at that point of time in the early 90s or late 80s for more than $1 lakh, okay? And for $1 lakh you'll get a very good computer right now, so it's really not much that way. Animation was considered very nascent and just about starting at that time, and I don't think it's anything more than nascent right now, right? So it seems to be we're still around the same stage, and we're around almost, just maybe we're taken off a little bit, but maybe not so much. I think what has changed really, according to me, is that each person is now a television studio. Each person can be a publishing house, right? So I don't have to take my portfolio, run around people. If I'm really good, I can just publish my work online, anywhere, and or make my own channel and just put my work out there. Dissemination of work has become a lot easier, and so all this makes reach possible, and which is essentially what, and some people have figured out how to make money out of it too, right? So if you're good, you can make money and survive on your skills right now, so completely on your own if you're really good. So that's exciting. To be honest, I studied visual communication, and then I moved to animation, right? So around the time that I graduated, there were hardly any institutions in India that were teaching animation in a formal way. So most of what I do in animation is through the work that I did in various companies, or probably through my own company. And I would name Ram Mohan sir as my teacher in animation, because my first initiation into animation was at his company in Ram Mohan Biographics in Mahim in Bombay. And I think not just me, but he's also inspired quite a few of an entire generation, in fact, of wannabe animators in India, and they started getting into the animation field. So I was fortunate to have worked under him. In India, I like Vaibhav's work very much. He's got a terrific sense of humor and very nice snappy animation, and I wish all success for the film he's making right now. I also like Suresh's work, Suresh Ariat, because he has this nice mix of doing commercial work at the same time trying to bring in good stylization into his work, and I think through their work they're inspiring quite a few of our students, that's for sure, right? So definitely these two come to mind immediately, right? So I did this for very long, actually. I did this for close to almost more than 15 years of doing this, and delivering projects of large scale to like some projects were for Disney and some for Fox, and so it really helped understand animation production, large scale animation production out here. But I think the way forward is for Indian animators to make their own stories from around here and take it up that way. I think that's going up the value chain for me. Having been in that industry for long, I decided to come back here to see if any contribution can be made in however a humble way, to see if we can encourage our students and future animators to make films about India for consumption by Indian kids, and so that way, right? 3 things in animation. I think perseverance, it's going to take years. Rigor is another thing, and looking around you for stories and being able to comment on the society. I think these 3 things, I think if you're able to look around you, you're going to find stories all around you, because we're all not people, we're actually stories, and each one of us has a story behind us. And I think if we really look around, there are so many stories going on around us, we can pick any one of those. But I think what's really going to bridge the gap between an idea and completion is the rigor and I definitely think rigor and discipline is needed for animators. I don't know if it's a quote, but I like the way that animation was defined as the space between frames and not the frames themselves, right? So I think your entire action happens between the frames, just like in comic books. It's the gutter spaces where the story happens. It's the whites between two frames. So what you're reading is not the story, but what you're imagining between two pictures that have been captured is the story, right? So that's. This is India Design Project, #Indian Design Family.